Hey, fifth grade, how's it going? Welcome to a brand new week of drama, my friends. So, we only have a week and a half left, right, before we switch quarters. So, here's how things are going to work. We are going to do, for Monday and Tuesday, we are going to finish this scene analysis unit. I have two other scenes to look at, one today, one for Tuesday. And then, on Thursday and Friday, I'm going to start a brand new unit on Thursday. And then we'll have Thursday and Friday of this week, and then only Monday and Tuesday of next week. And that will be it for the quarter. I know, it's going by fast already. All right, so before we get started today, I want to go over today a scene between a male and a female. We've done scenes with two males. We've done scenes with two females. Now we need to mix and match. And also, before we get started, I do want to apologize for Friday. Something went wrong. I'm not sure what, but it turns out my link for school for the Friday lesson did not upload onto Schoology the way I thought. I do apologize for that, and I know I had mentioned that I wanted the assignment done by Monday. I will now give you guys until Wednesday to go ahead and do that. So if you want to go ahead and look at the scenes and also just peek in the Friday folder and watch the video, I do have instructions on what I'm looking for. But we will go over this process again in class. And basically what I'm looking for is for you guys to give me an idea of what you think of certain scenes. Okay? So that's all. And again, I do apologize. You can look at Friday's video in the Friday folder that is on, depending on if you're with Ms. Connell or Ms. Wachillis, you can look at either of those pages and they should be in there. All right? So I am going to go over with you a possibility of analyzing the male-female scene today. All right? So, like I said, I have everything on the board, so we don't need to spend time writing it like we always do. Always a good reminder to think about the four things we are looking for in a scene: character journey, how do characters feel emotionally and motivationally at the beginning, middle, and end. What are they feeling? What do they want, right? Number two, plot progression. When we just get one scene, we're not really sure if it's from a show or a movie, we might get a scene. And if we've never seen the movie or show before, it is up to us to figure out what happened before and what happened after, right? Certain scenes, even if we do know the whole play, we have to do that too. Sometimes in a play or a movie, a scene will take place many minutes or days later from the previous one. So it is always up to us to think about what happened immediately before and immediately after. Perfect. Number three is exposition. As I've said, exposition is always a little bit of background information that lets us know who the character is. It usually is in the beginning of the scene, but sometimes, as we saw with the scene with two females in the snow, it can happen halfway through. We get a little bit of an idea of the relationship between the characters and several ideas of what the scene is about and where it's going. And number four, as I've said, is beats, right? Beats are the segments that we split a scene up into whenever emotions change, whenever the motivation of the characters changes, right? So these are things to look for, and these are things to work on. Good? Good. Okay, guys, so let's see here. I know I say this all the time, but I am certainly hopeful today that we will have time to possibly analyze two scenes. As I've said in the past, friends, I do greatly appreciate your patience with this unit. I know it's difficult to read it virtually, and it's hard for me to share these with you, but I can go ahead and read a scene for you, and we'll analyze the characters. So let me just find my page here. So this is a scene between a male and a female. It is called simply Space. Now this is from the same website where I found the scenes that have, they're just written, their original works, and we are using these because it helps us figure out a scene that came before and figure out plot-wise what came before and what came after. So that helps us think about it clearly and logically. Okay, let me go ahead. All right, so space. Now, in space, we have two characters. We have our male character, Jimmy, and our female character, Danny, right? Spelled D-A-N-I, right? Usually short for Danielle or even Danica, right? If names like that. And we are going to read this cold with no prompts whatsoever, like we've always done. And we're going to discover in this scene, which is a little shorter than some of the others, what the relationship is between the two characters. All right? So let's start with that. And I will read both parts, and off we go. So this takes place, and actually let me go ahead and say that real quick. This takes place in a dorm. I'll write that word on the board. So a dorm is, I just lost my black marker. There we go. Sorry guys. So a dorm is, write that word down. Dorm. You can see it here, dorm. I apologize, my M is kind of small. But a dorm is a building, usually at colleges or universities, where students basically stay. They sleep there, they do work there. It's essentially their home, right, for when they go to college. Obviously, with social distancing going on right now, dorms aren't quite what they usually are, but usually in a college environment, a dorm is where all the students stay. They sleep there, they live there, etc., etc. Okay, so we know that for a fact now. So this takes place in a dorm. And I will go ahead and I will read the scene for us. All right, so the scene starts inside of a dorm. And it starts with Danny coming in and saying, Jimmy's already in the dorm room. So Danny comes in and says, "You would be James, our head writer." And Jimmy says, "A crucial skill." Danny says, "Indeed. I'm Danny. I do robots." And she takes a beat and says, "Oh, that didn't come out right." And Jimmy said, "You mean you do the robots?" And then Jimmy starts making fun of her a little bit, right? Jimmy does the robot dance, and it's fun, right? Just a little robot. There you go. Danny says, "Coming from Detroit, I don't usually get to see moves that sweet. Very impressive." Danny says, "Come meet my roommate." "Roomie, listen up." "James, this is Anila from Mumbai. She is brilliant, a professional hand model, the most promising pilot in all known galaxies, writes poetry, is an okay archer, and doesn't have a boyfriend." And then takes a look at Jimmy for a moment and says, "This is Jimmy. He wrote some essay. I'll leave you two alone to fall in love." And scene. And I'll tell you guys, that's what we do usually. Whenever a scene is done and you're practicing a scene, the director, in this case me, right, will look at somebody and go, "And scene." And that means the scene has finished. So, a short and sweet scene. So let's go ahead and discuss it a little bit. First of all, before we delve into any characters, I want to go ahead and talk about some of the vocabulary words in here that we might not know. So let's start with, robots. We know Detroit, right? I'm sure most of you know where Detroit is. I'll write it on the board just to be on the safe side. So Detroit, dorm here. Let me write, first let me find the camera here. There we go. Detroit. Write Detroit under dorm. So Detroit. D-E-T-R-O-I-T. Detroit. Detroit is the largest city in Michigan, which is near us. If you follow sports, they have several sports teams: the Lions in football, the Pistons in basketball, the Tigers in baseball, so on and so forth. Right. So Detroit is where she's from. Okay. Then she goes ahead and introduces her roommate Anila. Now Anila is from Mumbai, right? And Mumbai is way on the other side of the world in a country called India. So I'm going to write India. Let me move this. India. India. And then Mumbai is the largest city in India. So Anila is Indian, and she is from the other side of the world, which is pretty cool. All right? So she's here in the United States at college. All right. She is... Now, let's take a look at these words, right? She says, Danny says again, she is brilliant, a professional hand model, the most promising pilot in all known galaxies, writes poetry, is an okay archer, and doesn't have a boyfriend. All right? So let me go ahead and talk about this. So a hand model. A hand model is exactly like it sounds. There are people who actually, believe it or not, model their hands. And usually it's to advertise something such as, lotion or cream that you would use on your hands. And you will see men and women who advertise skin products and model their hands. So hand model is another one. All right, hand model. There we go. Okay. And I will type up all these vocabulary words, friends, and I will put these on Schoology just so we have them all. Sound good? Okay, moving right along. So, a hand model. Next, we also have an archer. Archer. Let me put archer down right below hand model. Archer. Now, in the Olympics, there is a sport called archery. That's when you have a big target, you have a bow and arrow, and you fire and try to get a bullseye multiple times. That is what an archer is. An archer is someone who performs archery. All right. And then, let's see, we also have, and then she says, she also mentions that she does not have a boyfriend and tells Jimmy, I'll leave you two alone to fall in love. So that's a fun little bit at the end. So from there, we can go ahead and pick out our character journey, right? So there's not a whole lot because the scene is very short, but we can start by picking out the relationship between the two. I'm going to erase the vocabulary words, friends, and I will put them on Schoology so you can see them, okay? So don't worry. Okay, so character journey, right? Let's see. We need to think about how the characters feel at the beginning, the middle, and the end. So let's start with Jimmy. Jimmy's pretty easy. So let's put character journey. We have, actually we'll put it down at the bottom, we have Jimmy, right? So, Jimmy, let's move this down so we can see, okay? A little bit closer to Jimmy. We have, Danny. And even though she's never has a line and she's not mentioned, she has no dialogue, she's there, Danny's roommate, Anila. Okay, so Jimmy's journey is pretty interesting. So he goes from being pretty sarcastic, right? So he's pretty sarcastic with Danny at the beginning. So let's put a little B-M-E for how they feel at the beginning. Sarcastic. Right? Then in the middle, perhaps a little curious, right? He's curious to see what's going to happen, what Danny's up to. And by the end, he's probably a little surprised because Danny wants Jimmy and Anila to go on a date, obviously. So let's write that down too. Curious and surprised. Danny, let's put a BME for her. All right. So Danny at the beginning probably feels a little, there's a fun word I'm going to put here, snarky, right? Snarky means when you're being sarcastic and you're also being kind of clever a little bit. So she's being a little sarcastic with Jimmy, but she also is up to something clearly, so she's a little snarky. In the middle, she is confident, right? Because she believes that she can get the two of them to go, Jimmy and Anila, to go on a date. And at the end, she feels, I'm going to put another big word up here, triumphant, because she believes her plan has worked. And triumphant is what you feel, it's sort of like feeling proud of something, but you feel super proud of something you did. So triumphant. I know it's a small little word down there, right? We'll put that there. Okay. And Anila. Now Anila, I'm just going to put one emotion down because she doesn't have any dialogue, so she doesn't really have a beginning, middle, end journey like they do. So Anila will just put, obviously for me, she must be embarrassed, right? How could her friend set her up like this? All right. And so we think about what do they all want, right? I feel like Jimmy, what do they want in this scene? Jimmy, I think, wants Danny to stop bothering him. So motivation, Jimmy, leave me alone. Danny obviously wants to set them up on a date. Set up date. And Anila wants to curl up into a ball because she's embarrassed. Run and hide. Okay, excellent. So with that all in mind, my friends, we now have motivation at the top, and we have character journeys emotionally at the bottom. All right? Excellent. So now we figure out the relationships between all of them. Jimmy and Danny clearly live on the same floor. They're not roommates, but they're what we call floor mates. They live on the same floor of their dorm, but they don't live in the same room, obviously. All right, so let's go with, or no, I'm sorry, they don't do that. So they live on, one floor is all girls, one floor is boys. She clearly lives on the girl floor. So let's call them dorm colleagues, right? Jimmy and Danny, dorm colleagues. And a colleague is another word for a friend, right? I know that's kind of smudgy, guys, but don't worry. Danny and Anila are obviously roommates, right? So you can draw their, down here, roommates. All right, so roommates, right? We've got that. And then we also have Danny and Anila. Jimmy and Anila, maybe, let's draw lines for them. Maybe there will be a couple. Who knows? Put a question mark there because we don't really know what's going to happen with them, right? So that is the big character journey between everyone, right? Okay, so we have that. That's good so far. So now it's up to us to figure out plot progression, right? So it's a little trickier with this one. So what we can do is think about what happens before and what happens after. Now, before, I feel as though maybe in the dining hall, this is just my take, I feel as though Jimmy and Danny had something called a battle of wits. Danny heard all about how great Jimmy was as a writer, right? Chose to sit with him and see if he was smart enough, intelligent enough, or nice enough of a guy for her roommate to go on a date with, and probably engaged him in what's called a battle of wits. And a battle of wits is when two people try to outsmart each other, try to outthink each other, try to outtalk each other. It's just sort of a friendly but slightly competitive banter, right? So I'm going to write that down. That's what I think. I think that there was the plot progression in the past. There was, you guys can see this, a battle of wits. All right? So we have that, battle of wits. That's good. Now over here, in the future, we have what is called a, Now this can go one of two ways. We can make two assumptions, I think, about the future. They either went, or three actually, let's do three. Went on a date. It either was good or bad. It could go either way, right? Or the date didn't happen, or no date at all. And if the date was good, maybe they went to, they're both smart. They both seem like smart people. So maybe they went to sort of a school competition. Colleges often have debates. I think there's debate clubs in high schools usually. So maybe, let's say, on a date, they chose to go somewhere where they could both be smart together. So they go to a debate. Let's say that. They went to a debate match. Sorry, guys, my black is getting smudgy. I'm going to have to replace it in a sec. Okay? So, in the past, Danny and Jimmy engaged in a battle of wits. Danny thought, hey, I want him to meet my friend. This scene took place, and we can determine that maybe they went on a date, maybe they didn't, but if they did, if it went well, maybe they went to a debate. If it didn't go well, maybe they went out to a restaurant somewhere, had conversation that didn't go very well. Right? So there's a lot we can do with that. Perfect. Okay. Exposition. All right? Now, my goodness. Okay. At the beginning, Danny is a lightning rod of exposition in this scene. Right? So we get Danny's lines about, okay, guys, hey, do this. I'm going to erase... I'm going to erase the past and the present here just so we have some room to write. I don't have enough room on the board. The past and future, rather. Sorry. Okay. Give me one sec. All right, so now. Exposition. Danny's very, very first line is exposition about Jimmy, right? She says that James is the head writer. So, right, James, head writer. James, head. Sorry, guys, one sec. I just lost all the ink in this pen. Let me get another one. Okay. Sorry, technical difficulties. All right. James is the head writer. James fires back with some exposition about Danny, saying she does the robot. She's very good at doing the little robot dance, right? So we have that. So, let's see. Danny does robots. And then we practically have an entire monologue of exposition. Danny introduces Jimmy to Anila and basically just throws out exposition about Anila and who she is. The entire last monologue is all exposition. We are finding out about Anila, even though she never speaks in the entire scene. So I'm going to write that down. Anila is exposition. In big letters, I wrote that down. Anila is exposition. Perfect, right? So there you have it. All right, and then I think all we have left to do is talk about beats. All right? So just for me, right? Go ahead and we'll talk about, let's see. I think we can only, at least for me, you guys might find more than I do. I think there's only one split in the entire scene. Like I said, this is a very short scene. And it occurs right after Danny says very impressive, because the mood is kind of, they're teasing each other, right? So it's kind of a teasing emotion in the first beat, right? Danny and Jimmy are kind of going back and forth, kind of making fun of each other. And then there's obviously the hopeful, confident nature of Danny in that last beat, right? So it moves from joking, or jesting is a word that people use to describe when people are joking around. I'm going to write that down. Jesting. Jesting. And then confidence. So 2 beats in this short scene, right? One of jesting when James and Jimmy and Danny, are firing back and forth at each other, and firing them back and forth, and then confidence from Danny when she's introducing Anila to Jimmy. All right. So there you go, friends. That is just me analyzing this scene, right? That's just one way we can do it, okay? Now, you guys, if you choose to do this one, remember I gave you an extension in this deadline to Wednesday. So if you would like to think of your own interpretation for this scene, right? And think about how you might determine the differences from what I have. Maybe your character journey is different. Maybe the before and after with plot progression is different. And think about exposition, words I might have missed. And think of beats. Maybe you would split this up differently and think the emotion and motivation is different in each beat. Okay? So, as usual, friends, have fun with this, right? There are no wrong answers. I am simply curious to see how you guys break down one of these scenes. Okay, friends? Once again, I do apologize for the delay in the video on Friday. I will double check this one when I send it for Monday and make sure that it's there. And I will also have vocabulary words to go along with these scene links like I always do. So, enjoy, friends. Thank you. See you Tuesday.